Hi, this is War Traveler. I'm going to bring you a little guide on Vuhdo. It's one of the healing add-ons that I use. There's a few other ones you can get um, and stuff. My game crashed just recently, so I had to re-download it and set everything back up. So I figured it'd be a good time to come in and do that. Okay. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you should be using Twitch for all your add-ons. Um, And if you are, that's great. You don't have to do nothing else as far as, linking it to your World of Warcraft account. Um, and if you're just starting out, this will be helpful for you because you're going to go to get more add-ons and then you're going to type in Vuhdo. It's spelled Vuhdo. Now there is other healing add-ons that you could use. So if you prefer one of them, you can download that. And I'm sure there's plenty of guides out there that help you out with that. Okay. So then once you get it installed, you'll come up here and usually you'll have like everything. Well, this is Vuhdo right here, but you'll have like a bunch of stuff that's overlapping. Okay. I've started messing with mine a little bit, so it won't look exactly like yours is going to look like when you first get it. But it will nonetheless be somewhere over here. Okay. Um, and what you're going to want to do, as you can see, I've started messing with my screen a little bit. Um, I'm using an add-on called MBB. It's a mini map button bag, so it puts all my little mini map buttons in one place. But what I do is I click on this, and if you scroll all the way down, there's Vuhdo. Now, if I left click it, it'll bring up the general tab. So the first thing you want to do is come over here, and you're going to go like this, okay? So now you're going to have this one open. This lets you move all these around. And stuff like that. So one of the things that I do is I don't use my tank one. Okay, so you can get rid of that one. You hit X and it gets rid of it. You're going to also have a pet one here on the end. If you want to heal pets, keep an eye on your pets. Or if you're a hunter and you want to do it, you can do that too. But normally you don't do that. Most classes that have pets can heal them themselves without having any problems. But you just take and do this like I did. You can exit out on the group and stuff, and you'll be done. So next, you go like this. You just sit it wherever you want for now. This right here is Vuhdo Buff Watch. You can use it, and you use it in the settings to track different buffs. Now, there's not too many to track right now that you want to recast. Like for me, it would be my beacons. Okay. In Shadowlands, it's probably going to be a little different. You might want to be able to use it for your auras and stuff like that, depending on your class. If you have a buff that you're going to keep up all the time. Like a shaman might have Earth Shield. You'll know when it goes down. You can just recast it on that person. Um, the thing about it is, every now and then it does glitches, and it will lose the name of the person. So you do have to be careful of that. But most of the time, you can just click on them. You cast it. As long as you're not in combat, it should pick them back up. Okay. So next, where do we go from here? So this is the last tab. It's called the Move tab. So that's one we just used just now. Now we're going to go to the General tab, which is the first tab. So we go down here and we click General. Now as you can tell, all those bars are gone. Now it's just me. If you have more than people in your group, it will put them down here. It will show off their tanks, heals, and stuff like this. And this right here is you can keep your group, so you kind of know what group you're in. If you don't, I'm not using the raid frames or even the party frames from the normal Blizzard stuff, so I got rid of that. But you can use, it'll do this for you, so you know what group you're in when you're called out to go do a group thing in raids. Okay. Now on here, this will be the first page right here you get. A lot of this stuff I don't mess with on these some of these pages. You can go through them and try them out if you want, see if there's something that you might need. Like I said, every class is going to be different. Paladins don't have very many healing spells, but a druid would have a lot, so it may end up influencing you on what you want. So you can go through the tabs. You got scanners. Is this scanning for stuff like a range? Are they out of your range? If they go out of your range, they turn like a gray. It lightens the color on it, so you know they're not in your range and don't cast on them. Or if, like with Nazoth, if they go down below, it might work for that too, depending on if you're far away from them. Um, and you can scale stuff too, on a lot of stuff in here. You can do a lot of scaling. Threat, who has threat? You kind of want to know that. AoE advice, I don't normally use it because every situation is different. But if you want to use it, you can do it. And here's one for, I think, every class in here is a heal, AoE heal. You're going to have miscellaneous. Now this one, um, as you can see right here, you can enable a resurrection announcement. So for single target, it'd be come to the light, and then Vuhdo is their name. Okay, so it'd be like come to the light war traveler, or whoever you're playing with. You can do that one person, like for a mythic dungeon. Now let's say you got a soulstone on you, and you pop up at the end of a raid. Click on this one. It should announce don't release. I know people do have use weak wars and stuff like that too to announce it, but this will just announce it too. So you can use that. Okay, that's where you find it. It's underneath the miscellaneous tab. If you don't want it, you don't have to use it. The rest of these stuff, like I said, most of the stuff right here I don't mess with. It just tells me who has aggro. If you have aggro, you're having a red bar. If your tank does, they got a red bar, or anybody else. So kind of keep an eye on them if you have to. You can make these are clusters here. Don't, like I said, something I don't use. These are all just normally set to whatever they're at, and stuff like that. Bouquets, you can make bouquets for different people, different classes if you want. You would just type in their name, the name of the spell or whatever, and it just kind of keeps it on a list when you're playing with that particular person. Next, we're going to go to spells. Okay, so this right here is where you're inputting all your spells, and it's really easy. If you're playing with a keyboard, I do not play with my keyboard at all, so mine's a little bit different, but if you're playing with a keyboard, you can actually got modifiers here, just like you would with your keyboard. Okay, so if you click, Alt and whatever other button you're using for spells, you can put them in here. Okay, you can do Control, you can do plus Shift, all these other ones right here. All these ones right here, you can attach these modifiers to it and put them on the spells you want. You can wheel up, wheel down, all this stuff. So like for me, I'll even erase this one for you guys. Like this, we're gonna go like that. Now what you do is you go into your spell book, and you just can move this over. Okay, that was flash of light for me, so I go through, and I'm like, oh, flash of light here. Just drag it over. Boom, there you go. Now there's one thing I will say. Here in a little bit, to do with spells. Okay, sometimes not all the spells are well, they're mostly effects, so we'll go with that in a minute. To use your, like I have a multi-mouse with a bunch of keys on the side. I use my numpad for them. So basically you just click on it and you hit with the corresponding numpad that you want to use for that button, and you're good to go. I have 6 of them. This class doesn't use very many of them, but some of my other classes do. So you can just do that, okay? And then once you're done, you do the same thing. You can drag over whatever spell you want, Light of the Martyr, whatever, and you just drop it in. So, okay. The keybinds, I haven't used them, but I'm sure if you're going to just use the keybind on your keyboard, you would have it to where you just probably like scroll over the person and you hit that one. Okay, it's probably another way to do it. Miscellaneous, I don't use it, but you can also have it like where it triggers something like rule of law. I can have it do a rule of law. I can have it do a trinket. Kind of like when you do a spell, it'll just trigger it when it does that spell. Hostiles, you can actually show the hostiles on somebody. Usually it's going to be on the entire group, so everybody's going to have a hostile picture right next to their name. So if you're going to use it, it's easier just to click on the target and just use your spells off your keys and stuff than you would instead of using your Vuhdo for it. That way you can keep the Vuhdo kind of set up for your healing. Okay. We have buffs. Okay. Like I said, right now we don't have a whole lot. As far as at least a paladin doesn't. But when you get into raiding and stuff like that, and with Shadowlands with all the unpruning, you may have more buffs. Okay. But right now, as a healer, I have Beacon of Faith and Beacon of Light. Now I can put it on somebody, and it will tell me that it's missing. As you can see right up here on the top, that I don't have that spell. So what I do is I just click, boom, and it recasts it. Now that's good if like you wiped in either a dungeon or a raid, and you guys are all back together, and you're like, oh crap, I didn't put it back on. You can have it set for your tanks if you want, or whoever, and you can click on it. Any class that has a buff like that, you can use it for any class. Okay, so let me go back into Vuhdo. Um, you know, some of the stuff is just sizing, it's refresh rate, and stuff like that. Which you can go through all that stuff if you want. Like if your buff is missing, if it's on a timer, if your buff's okay. See, it's green for me. So you can do a lot of different stuff with it. If you have custom texts and stuff, you think you can import them on here. Refresh, it'll kind of flash for me saying, hey, it needs to be refreshed. So if I go like this, after a little while, it can flash if it wants. I'm not too worried about it right now though. Okay, so now we're gonna go to debuffs, and it's kind of the same thing. Um, the one thing you will get, you can set it for anything actually, that you want to. Visuals, you can have it wherever you want it to set. And then we're on to panels. Okay. Now with the panels, this allows you to, you can keep yourself as grouped. You can have it loose. I usually do it as groups because usually when you're doing raids and stuff like that, and they're gonna go group one, go over here, group two, go over there. It keeps you in that same group no matter what. You can always reset who's in what group in the Raider panel of actual Blizzard Raider panel and get it fixed that way. I always keep me first because I'm a healer or tank most of the time. I play as tank most of the time, but a healer just kind of keeps you at the top of that group. The group order does not make a difference because you're usually the whole group's going to go do whatever you got to do. Okay, you can have you at the bottom. You can have you go from horizontal. There's different ways to do it. How many characters do you want in a row and stuff like that? So you can do all that. You can do all the anchors. Anchoring just means that it's where it starts from. Okay, that's all it's from. You can go in here and you can do sizing. You can make them bigger. You can make them smaller. So if you go here, you go boom, make it wider if you need to. Make it a little smaller. And just so you know, whatever's flashing right here, that's the panel you're working on. So and it tells you right here, panel one. If you got multiple panels up because you're using multiple stuff, you can always click on the panel and do the same thing. Okay, it does the same thing. Um, So bars and stuff, do you want to have a mana bar on it? You don't need one if you don't need to. Um, and stuff like that. You can do it. You can set it up different ways. I usually keep the colors the same as the class. Okay, just so you know. Headers. Do you want the group headers on it? Because when you're playing, you may be in group 5, you may be in group 4. I keep it on just so I know what group I'm in at all times. If you're doing nothing but mythic dungeons, you don't need it. Okay. Like I said again, targets. You can do what you want with these targets if you want to. Show the target of who's ever targeting them. Show the target of target, stuff like that. Tooltips. Don't do nothing with it. It's just showing me the show and the debuffs. Like I said, some of this stuff you might have to look up a little bit more, but a good guy to look up is Automatic Jack. He's on Twitch all the time. He's a Mythic Raider and stuff like that, and he uses this all the time. So if you have any serious questions that you can't find an answer for, I would go on his Twitch and just hit him up. He'll answer the question. He's more than happy to answer questions for you. Okay, now you can do you can show your hit points. You can show percentages. All this is just a little bit of customization on how it shows in the bar right here. Okay. Because as you saw, I could probably go missing health. See, I don't have any missing health, so it's not going to show nothing. And stuff like that. Hot icons. Now I use a couple of them on here. Druids, probably more druids more than anybody else would probably use a lot more. But as you can see, I don't need that one on. you can set up where the icons are, okay, on this right here. So I use this bottom one right here for it. You can also change the size of this little icon. So like when I put this one on, you see it's this big, right? So now you can come over here, you make them that small. You can make them kind of how you want, and stuff like that. This is just so I know that it's on, okay? And you can put quite a bit in here. I mean, you think about it, you can go to 7 spots on these right here. So if you got 7 spells that you want to keep track of through just an icon, it's on all the time. These are good ones, okay? And it shows the icon and and stuff like that. The other one that I use, that I love using, is called the hotbar. Now, what's a hotbar? What it does, and I'll show you here right now, is I've got 2 spells here. Okay, so one of them, well, you can see rule of law. Okay, so let's see if I cast it, if it'll show it. This is rule of law. It's letting me know how long that spell is going to last. Okay, I can use this one, which is my Holy Shock. This is my Glimmer of Light. Okay, so if you don't know how to do Glimmer of Light, there it is. And there's the number for Glimmer of Light. Okay, because Glimmer of Light is not in your spell book, it's an actual buff. Okay, so you want to know how long that buff is running. Okay, because like say if there's 5 of you guys in your group, maybe one guy's about to run out, or and stuff like that. You can keep applying it to people, and it will go like that. I don't remember what this one is. This one is, you can do different stuff. Like you can actually do, if you want to do Blessing of Freedom on a person, if you wanted to do, I think it's Aura Mastery. It's supposed to be Devotion War. I think it's what it's supposed to be. So I know how long my Aura Mastery lasts. I gotta fix that. So different stuff like that. Sometimes you'll be in, if you go to Wowhead, okay, and you type in Glimmer of Light, you're gonna find out that there's several of them. What you want to do is you might have to try them out until you find the one that actually works with the actual spell. Okay, so what you'll see is, see, there's my Glimmer of Light. It's going right there, and stuff like that. Okay, so if you see it there and you don't see it there, it's probably the wrong number. Okay, because like I said, when I looked it up, because I'm redoing all this right now, there was like 6 or 7 of them on there, and I had to go through and find out which ones. There's like 3 of them that are Azurites. There's some that are other stuff. So start picking with the ones with Azurite. Um, this is actually a talent. I just don't know which one it is. If it's a talent, okay, you might have to get the number off the talent. If you're gonna type it in manually, okay, you type it in exactly how it is in your spell book. If it's rule of law, but it's capital RULE space of space capital LAW, you type it just like that. Okay, if it's like judgment, you type it just like judgment. Okay, if you don't, the spells won't work. Okay, so that's how that works. Okay, and you can also set up how they look. Not much space, so you're either gonna probably be this one or this one, um, and they'll end up keeping kind of close to each other. Okay, next, let's see, miscellaneous raid icons and stuff like that. Are you a tank or are you a healer? See, I think it's what it does. Um, or no, it's if you get the actual raid icon, like if you got the skull on your head, if you got the diamond on your head, it'll put it right here in the middle. Okay, that's what that does. That. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Colors. Um, when you get a debuff, and it's one that you can cleanse or purge or whatever you're gonna do for it, it turns the colors right here. Okay, and that just means that you can get rid of it. If you can't, you won't see it. It'll stay the normal color of the character. Or it might be a color that's not on here because you can't do nothing about it, okay? Um, so yeah, when you see these, that's just all it means, okay? Like I said, a lot of this stuff right here I'm not even using, so you can look at it and see if it's something you need. These are all I'm just leaving them all the same, okay? I'm not actually doing nothing with them. That's just kind of resources if you have it for people. The only one I'm using is the mana one, which is already preset, so you don't have to worry about that. Hots, if you're going to be doing them like that and how many seconds they got on them, that's something you can do. I haven't found a need for it, but at the same time, I'm not a druid or somebody that uses hots a lot. Okay. These are class colors, okay? Um, you can change them if you want. Really don't need to because they're actually fitting for the class. So like mine, I'm pink. I'm a paladin. When I run my shaman, he's blue. So it's gonna be that color for when you guys are in your groups. And again, here's raid icons. So see, they're showing them here how they look, um, and stuff like that, and for the texting for the background and all that stuff. So okay, and then targets. Don't know nothing about it. It's probably just if you know whoever your target is. Tools. I haven't found a use for them yet, but what you're supposed to be able to do is basically save your profiles. Okay. Don't know much about how to do it, or anything like that. Okay. So I'm not gonna say I'm an expert on it and stuff like that. But there is a way to do it, if you want to save it. But that means that every time you switch up, and it can be used for like different stuff. I guess like if you're doing a battleground or if you're doing a raid or something like that, and you got it set up a certain way. But that means that you got to go in every time, and when you switch what you're doing, you got to switch the profile too. Okay. This one right here is again the move button. It just allows you to move your groups and stuff like that. You can do that anytime you're not in combat. Okay. If you're in combat though, you can't move anything. There is sometimes where in combat, if something happens, it's very rare, but it does happen every now and then. Well, where somebody will join your group that wasn't in your group to start with, and they won't show up on Vuhdo. Most time you just gotta you probably just re-update your UI or something like that, and it'll fix it. So that's pretty much a Vuhdo right there in a nutshell. Not too hard, um, and stuff like that. So yeah, you should be able to, like I said, the biggest one will be trying to get the spells that like my Glimmer of Light one, which is next expansion is a talent, so it's not that big of a deal. You're gonna have it as a talent, so it'll be easier to pick up. But ones that are like that, where you need trying to track the buff from a spell. It'd be more like if you're trying to maybe Riptide or something like that. If it's buff, whatever has a buff. Also, you do not have to be a healer to use Vuhdo. Okay, so some of the stuff you can do is if I go into another specialization, like if I play protection, now I would have to change a talent for this, but I'm just saying you can. If I want to, wait for my mana to build up. Oh, come on. You see, I can use Flash of Light. Now I'm using it on myself because I'm the only one in my group, but as a tank, I can use it on anybody. Okay, I can also use the Resurrection ability when I'm here. I just have to click on that person. Um, you can also, as a hunter, as a rogue, you can get a misdirect macro and put it in there. Okay, um, and stuff like that. So when you're attacking, it goes to them, or you can just use a simple macro. It's easier that way too. Um, but I'm just saying that not everything has to be specifically for a healer. This can be used for other classes. You could be a DK, and you can click to res somebody in combat. Okay, since they're one of the few classes that do it. A warlock could do the same thing. They could get their orb and boom, click it on somebody and boom, resurrected. Okay, so don't just think just because I'm not a healer, I can't use this. Okay, other classes can use it too. Okay, you could probably put in your food. Okay, just have whatever button you want to combine to, so you don't have to have these bars up. I mean, if you don't want the bars up, well, I'm gonna eat, so I'm gonna boom, there I go. I'm sure there's more stuff you can do with it, and stuff like that. You might be able to, track for the buffs. You might be able to track your flask. Some people don't like having all these bars down here, um, underneath their character. I don't, so I got to fix that, and stuff like that. So that's what you would do. Okay. So that's pretty much Vuhdo in a nutshell. It's not hard once you get used to it, and then after that, once you get all your spells in it, it's just practicing with the spells. Okay. Now the one thing that you can't do with Vuhdo, and I'll put this out now, is for things that are not in your group. Okay, you still have to manually come over, and you're gonna find your spell. And if you don't have it on your bar, you can't do it. Which I don't have it on my bar. Uh, you know, you'd have to come in and you'd have to manually click on it to heal them. And as you can see with it flashing right here, it means it's not on my bars. So that is the only time that Vuhdo does not work for you, and stuff like that, okay? Well, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be in Discord all the time. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.